What's up, guys? Welcome back to Kinda Funny Studio Ghibli Miyazaki in review. That's right. We are ranking and reviewing every movie written and directed by Hayao Miyazaki. As always, I'm Tim Gettys, joined by the big dog, Kevin Coelho.
Oh, wow. Hey, why didn't anyone tell me that they had a Cecil dog in one of these movies, huh?
So many Cecils. He's in the Studio Ghibli intro, Kevin.
Yeah, but I just thought that's because, creative freedoms and whatnot. That's it. Yeah. That's the word I was looking at.
Kevin just thought he was a really big fan of whatchamacallit?
Cecil.
Oh, fuck. Game of Thrones. That's a bad joke. Let's move on.
No, you could have just said Cecil. I feel like that would have been much stronger.
Jokes, Nick Scarpino.
Hello, everyone. I can't wait to get into the plot of this one. Did you know there's a lot of lore? I wrote it down.
Lore. We also have the Nitro Rifle, Andy Cortez.
Good morning, Tim. This movie's cool.
And returning once again, Ubisoft's own Belinda Garcia.
Hello, I'm back.
Welcome back. It's good to have you. Today we're talking about Princess Mononoke. Before we even get into the whole rigmarole, actually, let's get through the rigmarole real quick. Twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames. You can watch this every Tuesday. Next Tuesday, we're starting Mulan in review, which next Tuesday is Mulan 1998. Then the following week, we're going to be doing the new Mulan movie. Then after that's Batman.
I can't wait for Nick to do the plot for Mulans.
Me too.
It's going to be very straightforward.
More singing. We're going to get back to the singing.
Randy Newman. Yeah.
The thing is, I have a feeling, Nick, you're going to love the singing more than you remember you love it. And I'm very excited for that.
I'm excited.
God,
so
much.
You sound excited. That sounds very genuine.
So I wanted to chime in, but I took a giant gulp of Diet 7-Up, and it was so refreshing. And I started talking, and it was like, "Are you going to choke to death on camera right now?"
There's nothing more embarrassing than choking to the point where you vomit. You know,
I'd rather choke, but if that's going to happen, I'd rather do it on one of Tim's shows so he can title it "Princess Mononoke in Review." Nick almost dies, and then we get a lot of views.
So, yeah, I don't know that even
Nick,
that can help us.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Where you start choking and it goes too far, and like your body's only thing that it can do is like vomit.
I've never quite been.
You've
there.
never had that?
No.
Oh, I've seen that happen, and I've had that happen.
Kevin, the amount of times that I have been taking an antibiotic when I was like a child, I was always sick as a child. They would give me this pill. They would give me this pill called a slow bid, and I swear to God, this pill was probably like that big.
Yeah.
And my tiny little baby throat, I would try to like put this pill on my tongue, and I would try to like drink the water. And I would just end up holding the water in my mouth forever because I was so scared that I was going to choke on it. And eventually I would try to swallow down the pill, and it would get caught. And I would just fucking vomit, dude.
He gets it. He's been there.
It happened all the time.
Andy, fun fact. I don't know if I've ever revealed this before, but I have the ability to swallow as many pills as I need to. I've swallowed like 6, and like including like 2 of those big old ones. No problem at the same time.
I'm gonna call Kevin. I'm gonna call the government. I'm gonna call the government. We got an X-Men right here. We got an X-Men in our midst.
It's Kevin and Basketball Boy.
Oh
What's
my
your special
God!
X-Men power? I can swallow anything.
Continuing on Fridays, we're going to keep doing this live on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames, later on youtube.com/kindoffunny or roosterteeth.com if you want to watch. If you want to listen, search your favorite podcast service for Kinda Funny Reviews. We'll be right there for you. Thank you very much for subscribing to us. If you want to get the show ad-free, you can go to patreon.com/kindoffunny, just like our Patreon producer, Mohammed did. But like I was saying, today we are talking about Princess Mononoke. Before we even get into it, this is number 1, y'all. This might be one of my favorite movies I've ever seen in my life. I was fucking thrilled the entire time, and I was just like, this entire review, worth it. Thanks to this movie right here. It was my first time, and it will not be my last time. This movie is awesome, and I'm going to say why it's awesome to me. For a long time, I've liked anime. I've been a fan of anime. But there's this thing where I'm just like, it's a little too long. Like even a season of anime, I'm like, that's so much. This movie is long enough that it feels like an entire season of anime, but with all the filler cut. It's just like, we're only going to have what you need to know from one fucking awesome lore-heavy season of anime, and it's fucking fantastic.
Is this your first time seeing it? Or, oh, interesting.
Once again, another movie where I'm like, give us a goddamn Legend of Zelda movie, for fuck's sake, dude. Just make it. What are we waiting for? Like, I mean, everything in this movie is just top notch, dude. And I am reminded why I loved it so much as a kid. I feel like now that I'm a little bit older, I can appreciate a lot of the dialogue more and stuff. But I still think this movie is, again, one of my favorites of all time.
Has everyone else seen this before?
I have never seen this before.
This was my first time watching it as well.
Yeah.
Oh, this was my favorite Ghibli movie coming into the in review. So we'll see where I rank it at the end.
So before we get deeper into all of our thoughts here, I want to give you all of the rigmarole of the movie. Princess Mononoke, released July 12th, 1997. It was the first Ghibli movie in 5 years. Directed by Hayao Miyazaki, or at least the first Miyazaki movie. I don't know. There might have been a Ghibli one in between. Directed once again by Hayao Miyazaki. Music once again by Joe Hisei Ishii. Budget of $23.5 million, making it the most expensive anime ever made at the time of its release. A box office of $159.4 million. It became the highest grossing film in Japan, beating the record set by E.T. in 1982. But it was surpassed several months later by Titanic. It also held Japan's box office record for domestic films until Spirited Away, another Miyazaki movie.
Wow.
A runtime of 2 hours and 13 minutes. It is the fourth longest animated film ever made after Final Yamoto, The Disappearance of Haru Suzumiya, and The Tale of the Princess Kaguya. When the English dubbed version was screened at TIFF, Hayao Miyazaki introduced his film to the audience saying, "With Princess Mononoke, I intentionally threw out all the rules of entertainment movie making, which is why it will take some time for a true evaluation of this film to emerge. I hope you will enjoy all of the ridiculously long 2 hours and 13 minutes." That's fucking dope as shit. And that's what I'm talking about like it feels like a season, man. And around 550 colors were used in this film, Kevin.
Wow.
I love
that's
the color
like
count.
double the last color count, right?
Yeah.
It's great. It's
Wow.
great stuff.
We are truly in the next gen. And also, I got to assume 80% of the budget went to all the little squiggly demon lines.
Oh, dude, those things are
like,
crazy.
Jesus, terrifying.
When their heads rotate. They reminded me of the...
Oh, no, I don't mean that.
No, he's not talking about the weird aliens with the cute butts. He's talking about
the little worm.
The little clicking alien
the boiling
things
blood
will haunt me forever, for sure.
Did that remind you of Breath of the Wild? Those little...
The whole movie reminds me of Breath of the Wild.
I know, but like those look like the Korok seeds, right?
Absolutely. Totally.
Okay.
Him wearing the blue tunic and stuff, shooting arrows, riding on his little like horse elk friend. It's just like, holy shit, man. And then there's parts that literally just look like they're straight out of Breath of the Wild. I love it.
Dude, the one scene towards the end where he's sort of making his final charge, and the two samurai guys are like, "Is that he's back? What the fuck's up with this guy?" And he just fucking clean just cuts a dude's head off with one of their,
and the other guy
just kind of does the Hawkeye lead to the other guy. Like, it just looks so cool. The animation of this movie is so fluid.
There's a moment where he's fighting people, and one of the guys shoots an arrow at him, and he catches the arrow because he's out,
and then
turns
he
around and shoots the guy again.
That's the one.
I'm like, well, this is dope. I think that I really like this movie a lot, and obviously it's because a lot of my criticisms of the past ones where they were a little too kid oriented. This one I think is a return to form, especially like when you look at it, and it's got serious undertones, it's got violence, it's a lot deeper, just like Nausicaa was, and I think that I really do think across the board, the English dub did a good job with the voice acting, with the exception of Claire Danes. I did not really care for her performance in this, but I was a little off-put by it until I realized that she was Mononoke. I was a little off-put by it until I realized that Moro, the mother wolf, was played by Gillian Anderson, and I was like, everything's forgiven now. Everything is fine because it's good. But I think Keith David did a great job. I think Billy Crudup did a really wonderful job nailing the character of Ashitaka, the main character. I think he has that sort of like, the character itself is sort of like displaced, and I think he had that vibe the entire time where he's not, he's sort of revered in his own camp, and then when he has to leave the camp, he's told he can never go home. He says, you can never come back here, and he just accepts that. And so forever he's going to be a stranger to other lands. And I think he really, I love how he performed this whole thing where he's just sort of like, he's just a little taken out of everyone else's worlds, and that's why he kind of, they have that moment where they say you have to go there and view this with sincere and honest eyes, and I think he kind of took that to heart and nailed the whole performance.
He also nailed the ability to show restraint amongst a lot of horny older women.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
Those
for sure.
Prostitutes,
and they're
really
sweating a lot too.
A fleet of them, Tim.
There's that moment where he walks past the bellows, and they're all just looking at him like he is ice cream on a hot day, and it is
sweating.
They're sweating. And they're just in for it. And their husbands are all idiots, too, which makes it so much better, too.
It gave me such major Aladdin vibes. And, like, that is, to me, the ultimate compliment of, like, watching this movie as a 31-year-old dude for the first time. I got the same sense of stokedness that I did being a little kid watching Aladdin when they do the one jump ahead and he's running through, and like it's just such a cool thing where I feel like I remember growing up with the Disney movies, and it was like Little Mermaid I loved, Beauty and the Beast I loved, but then I saw Aladdin and I was just like, this is my shit. And it's like this to me, I'm like, this is my shit, and I am so in. And it also now watching Nolan interview and Miyazaki interview at the same time, it's funny where the way that we saw kind of Following turn into Memento, I really think that Nausicaa turned into this. It's like you can see that Miyazaki's learned.
There's a lot of similarities with both of those movies,
but like growth between them.
It's
totally.
I am so in love with it. Belinda, what did you think now?
Mononoke was probably the first Ghibli movie I watched like as an adult. I think I was like 19 or 20 and it became my favorite. And then going into this review, I was like, it's the top spot. Like, let me see if any of these new ones topple it. And I really, really love Nausicaa a lot. And I find a lot of similarities, like the war and, you know, talking about the environment and trying to save a forest, and all of that is all very similar. I still really, really, really love this movie. I think it's so gorgeous. I think the action is amazing. I think all of the themes still carry, you know, this movie was made in 1997 and they're still super relevant and powerful. I don't know. I don't know if it'll keep the top spot. It's really hard. I'm still deciding.
Yeah, we'll have to get through the review here.
Andy, we'll see if Nick's plot changes your mind.
Yeah.
Well, there's some zingers in here.
Great. Can't wait for the zings. Andy, I know that we were talking yesterday about this a bit, and you were saying that like this movie meant a lot to you as a kid, and like you were super into it. Like watching it now a bit more as an adult, like do you like it more than you did when you were little?
Oh yeah, I feel like I can appreciate it a lot more. But coming from just like a production standpoint, also not just it's a cool cartoon with violence. Because I remember my dad renting this for me, and we didn't really know what it was. I think one of his coworkers had mentioned like, "Oh, your son is into like Dragon Ball Z and stuff. Check out this movie." And I wasn't. None of us were expecting the violence, and I thought that was cool as shit. Like as a kid, I just wasn't expecting to see heads being lopped off and arms being severed, and that shit was so badass to me. But you know, in context, I think it still works completely well in this movie. And just like violence aside, I love the characters. I just love the world building behind all of this. It's so video gamey in the best way. Where I just keep on wondering, like, God, I would love to see a fully realized 2-hour Miyazaki movie about Legend of Zelda. Like, it needs to happen, man.
Yeah. Reading some more facts for you because there's some gold for this one. I actually teased this one out or said part of it before in one of the old interviews. But this was dubbed into English with a script by Neil Gaiman. Gaiman? How do you say it, Nick?
Gaiman.
Gaiman.
All of us said different things.
I think it's Neil Gaiman.
Neil.
And was distributed in North America by Miramax, where it sold well on DVD and video despite a poor box office performance, thereby greatly increasing Ghibli's popularity and influence outside Japan. In response to demands from Miramax chairman Harvey Weinstein to edit the film, one of Miyazaki's producers sent Weinstein a katana with the message "No cuts," which is the fucking coolest thing you could possibly do. Promotion manager Steve Alpert revealed that Weinstein had wanted to trim the film down from 135 minutes to 90 minutes, despite having promised not to do so. When Alpert informed him that Miyazaki would not agree to those demands, Weinstein flew into one of his infamous rages and threatened Alpert that he would never work in this industry again. Possibly as a result of this, the movie only had a limited theatrical release in the United States, reportedly to this disdain of Walt Disney Pictures. The film was later released in the USA in its uncut version, and when asked about the incident in an interview, Miyazaki simply smiled and stated, "I defeated him."
Fuck.
That's so cool.
That's badass.
It's Miyazaki's way or the highway. There's no other way.
I mean, to be fair,
I could have sworn that was a story for another Miyazaki movie.
No, I told you. So I read that I was talking about the cuts and edits.
Got it.
It was about this, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna tease that," but I didn't know the rest of it about I defeated him, which is awesome.
Great.
To be fair, the movie could have you probably could have shaved off 15 minutes. Would have been okay.
I don't think you could have, man.
I think
because you were
like,
taking
the
notes.
The lepers, I think, you're like we could sort of shave a little bit of that off. I mean, they make reference to a lot of things that I think we could have moved a little quicker on. I don't mind it being this long. I think it definitely adds to the world building, but it could have been like 205, maybe two flat. You know,
I feel
mean?
like Nausicaa would have
okay.
been this long if they described sort of the history of the forest and all of that, which I think that's what Mononoke did, and that's why it was so long.
Yeah,
but I appreciated that more because I loved knowing that in this world they just sort of touch on little small things that they don't really go into a whole lot of detail of. But I love the idea of the clan of apes and
the tribe.
There's all these different tribes and all these different sort of factions. I love every idea behind this sort of world building. I think it's fucking great.
And I think, to me, sorry, go ahead, Tim.
We paused because Moose had to go to the bathroom, and it was like we had, I think, like 45 minutes left. And Gio was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe like we've watched so long. This movie's so long for an animated movie." And I was just like, "I'm so stoked we have 45 minutes left because this is the last we're gonna get of this world. This is the last we're gonna get of these characters, and I'm loving them so much that like I'm happy that we have that. And like even like I would agree that there's like some slower parts, and I could see where they would cut, but I'm so happy they didn't because I think that it just kind of creates this as this one perfect movie that kind of to me feels more like filmic. Like it feels like a Nolan movie in the sense of we're creating an entire world and it's only going to be this one experience and you're going to get it all.
I had the same thing happen to me, Tim, where I had to pause and go to the restroom, and I saw I still had an hour left, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'm stoked."
It's always interesting to me. Like I think he does a really good job, like in like bringing you into the world and explaining a lot of things. And I think one of the things that I really appreciate about this and Nausicaa to a degree is that he does an interesting thing with his antagonists where he tries to make them sympathetic, and more often than not it works. And with this, the Lady Eboshi character, played by I think Minnie Driver, you kind of get a sense that she's like, hey, I'm just defending my people and I'm trying to stand up for like specifically the women in my clan who I'm trying to elevate, and I'm just basically trying to like carve my way into the world. And if I have to cut a couple trees down here and there and kill a couple stupid animals, like, come on, like what's the big deal here? And by the end of it, I think she kind of learned a lesson, but same with the Jago character, but you don't necessarily end up hating them. You can find a little bit of a thread to sympathize. And I always think that just makes the story that much better because they're not necessarily evil. They're just sort of flawed and need to learn a lesson. And, the main character can teach them that lesson if it's crafted correctly.
Billy
Absolutely.
Bob Thornton,
and
baby.
I think going even beyond that, like I love that this movie introduces so many different kind of, for lack of a better word, tribes of people or characters, and they each have their own kind of like politics and rules or like
agenda,
agenda, whatever. And it's like I love that it's clear where sure we're looking at them as antagonists just because the protagonists we have are against them, but like it does feel almost Thanos like where every character or every group you believe their agenda, and it's not just the bad guys. It's like even when it comes to like the boars, it's like they have their own thing going on, or like versus the wolves versus the apes. Even though the apes are just in it just a little bit, it's like you get enough of it to kind of understand that they're getting involved only when they have to and whatever. And I'm really, really, really impressed. Like this just feels like Miyazaki firing all cylinders of everything I've liked about the prior movies, just done well together.
Yeah,
agreed.
Absolutely.
Let's get to the plot.
We open, ladies and gentlemen, where all good movies should, on a mysterious forest and a voiceover by Keith David, who we all know, of course, from the HBO cartoon series Spawn. Got a really young child? Hey, it's perfect for them. Let them watch the whole thing unsupervised. The forest is cold.
He's the dude, the main guy for Gargoyles, right?
Keith David?
Yeah, wasn't he?
I believe so.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Good
I just
pull.
remember him. I just remember listening to him, seeing him in a movie called Men at Work with Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez.
Oh, it's
And he
not a
was
good
like,
movie,
he played
right?
a third in that. Hilarious. And then I remember hearing him on Spawn. I was like, this dude has the coolest voice
Yeah,
on the
he's got
planet.
a
Of course,
good
Keith
voice.
David. Everything.
What an opening.
Everything. Of course, the forest.
Also,
is cold.
every once in a while they would show, like I would be like, I hope my parents don't catch me watching Spawn because sometimes they show some stuff.
Yeah,
They showed
it's
a
like
lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's cool.
Violent and evocative, Andy. The forest, he says, is old and has lots of gods and demons in it, and they're guarded by gigantic beasts who owe their allegiance to the great forest spirit. And these beasts are great to take fishing because when they could become demonic, Kevin, they turn into worms, and you don't have to spend a lot of money on bait. Title
bait,
screen. Princess Mononoke. And I'm a little disappointed here because this is one of the first Miyazaki films we've seen that doesn't have an elaborate, fun title sequence, but it doesn't matter because he's like, we don't have time for that shit. We have to get into the plot. And of course, the first character we see here riding his majestic elk is Ashitaka. He warns some of the girls from his village that something bad is going down over in the forest and they got to get home. He tells them to get, and then he rushes over to the watchtower where he and his amazing elk spot something moving in the forest. Climbing higher still, he warns the watchman up there that the wise woman, the elder of the village, has told everyone to get back. And then, of course, before he knows it, he spots the really, really, really gross worm monster demon thing crawling from the village. And there's nothing creepier than this thing. That's just a thing made of like a centipede made of small little worms that also kind of looks like a giant spider. This is the stuff of nightmares. When, of course, it hits the light kind of causes it, the worms to jump up in the air, revealing the massive body of a boar who appears to be the host for this demon entity. Ashitaka lets an arrow loose to warn Yakul, his elk, that the demon is coming. And
dude, Yakul almost got murked here. Yakul was straight up deer in the headlights.
So scared.
Listen, guys, I was going to save this for the end.
Get to it, Nick.
Okay.
But I'm just gonna say right now, let's just call it what it is. Yakul MVP.
Wow. Damn sure.
Agreed.
When he got hit,
Agreed.
I audibly gasped.
Yeah.
I was like, "Don't do
I was
this
like,
to
yeah,
me.
not like
If
this.
you
Not
kill
like
this motherfucker,
Yeah,
I'm
out.
done."
No.
I'm out.
MVP. Of course, Ashitaki jumps on his back and rides real hard toward the town. He sees the I was gonna call it a smoke monster for a second, Andy, but that's lost, Andy.
That's lost. Yeah.
Let's see. He sees the worm demon heading toward the village, and a group of girls from earlier are caught in its path. So Ashitaki gets in its way and plants a perfectly aimed arrow in the demon's glowing eye, which causes its worm shield to lash out and burn Ashitaki's arm. The attack leaves the host boar unprotected, and without thinking, Ashitaki sends another arrow directly into the host demon, putting it out of its misery. Of course, before this, I skipped over a point here real quick before I forget, Andy, is that as he's riding in front of the monster, he's asking it to stop. And that is such an interesting character point for him, because he's not trying to kill this thing. He's just trying to ask it to go back to where it was before. And that's really cool. Sorry, Andy, what were you going to say?
Ashitaka, right?
What did I say? Ashitaki?
Yeah, I think from now on we just call him Takis. I think we call him Takis.
I was going to call him Ashi. We can call him
Fuego
Takis.
Takis. Fuego flavored Takis.
Fuego Takis. Okay, done. As the demon is.
Tim, I'm sorry.
Yeah. That was you, Andy. You did that.
My bad, dude.
It's always weird to be on the other side of one of those. It's nice. Hai Sama, the elder leader of the village, orders the girls to pour some water over Ashitaki's wounds to ease his pain, while the evil demon in front of her basically says some really horrible shit. He's like, dude, you're all going to die. You're all going to die, and it's going to be totally fine. And then he's like, you know what? This is not the last you've seen of me, Tim. I'll be back. Terminator 1984. There it is. And he goes, and when I come back, hell's coming with me. Tombstone 1993. And then he dissolves like all of those ants that Andy burned with his hydrochloric acid that he got from Walgreens. Quote, I like the powerful feeling I get when I take a life. Andy would later tell the FBI, it's always the quiet ones, the ones you least expect. And Greg, because he's a psycho too.
Don't do this.
Belinda, I have no idea what's happening. I thought you could lead into another line of like, I know Kung Fu, The Matrix. You're just gonna keep on going.
Let's go that way. We'll go that way. Ashitaka shows everyone his infected arm, which will spread throughout his whole body and kill him, which is something that the elder tells him, and he's just like, okay. The council wants him. Wants to help him, but she says he can't alter his fate. He can, however, rise to meet it. There's evil in the land of the West. Are we calling him? Can we just call him Ashi from now on? Is that okay?
Sure.
Taki though.
You want Taki?
Taki.
Well, it's Taka. I feel bad.
Why
All right,
Ashitaka.
Yeah, but Andy likes Takis.
All right, Taki it is.
But also, I do like Kashi, their breakfast.
That doesn't help. That doesn't solve the problem. We're still editing everything with an I.
Kashi Station.
Well, you also
Ashi.
call Frodo Fredo, so there's just no rules here.
That was a mistake. This is on. Perfect.
You're in charge of the plot. You make a decision.
I'm going to call him Ashi from now on. Must go there and see what he can see without hate. Maybe he can find a way to lift the curse. The tribe is the last of an old tribe called the Amishi, and they're dying out. They're saddened by the loss of their one and only prince. So sad that Hai-sama basically tells them, "Hey, you're dead to us. Once you leave, you're done. We're never going to think of you again." So he cuts his man bun and grabs his goat, and off they go. Kaya.
Dude,
It was not a goat.
look, I feel like I might be a broken record throughout this entire review, but like this was moment number 2 that I out loud was like, I fucking love this movie. Where it's like when it started with that VO and we're just seeing the vistas and like they're just like the Keith VO was so great, set the tone. I'm like,
but also Keith VO saying gods and demons, like, all right, cool,
absolutely, all of that. We get an action scene that I am just thrilled with this whole boar fight the entire time, and then we get this crazy ass like Moncala Jenga situation going on. And he's just about like the woman's like, hey, you're leaving and you're dead to us. I'm just like, damn. Like this movie gives 0 fucks. They are sending this guy out. He is gone. He's
and
going
you sit
to
there
die.
and you watch him walk through the door, and you're like, okay,
here we go.
Bye, Ashi.
So cool.
I
so
do.
Cool.
I do hate when like societies have rules of like, hey man, you're out and you can never come back. Like Wonder Woman, where it's like, why? You know what I mean? Like,
let me back.
Like, if he fixes his arm, like, fucking let him back in. He's your prince.
Yeah,
what's the
it's
deal,
also one of those
bro?
things where they're like, we are a dying clan. To which I would be like, well, do you think that's maybe because every time someone takes a vacation, you don't let them back in the fucking village?
Yep.
Maybe that's the problem.
That's true.
Maybe someone wants to go to Palm Springs for a weekend and they come back and oh, sorry, you can't come back in here. You have to stay here. Where's the border, by the way? How far can you go out of this land before they let you back in?
Tim, I love the idea of immediately we're sort of presented with this curse, and his arm has these dark marks on it, and it's like, okay, this is cool as shit. This curse is eventually going to kill him. I love this idea of this race against time, and then the next following scene, we see his arm become powerful and shoot off different heads and limbs and arms and shit with his powerful arm. And that just ratchet up how much cooler this whole situation is. Like
that's what I'm saying. I'm going to be a broken record.
Cool.
Every 10 minutes, there's 3 moments that I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
it's relentless.
Tim, remember when he pushes the door and the dude's like, hey, 10 guys need to push that open. You're being an idiot.
Like,
and then some other guy's like, you're gonna die. And then he just goes, and it opens
bleeding out.
He's like bleeding.
So cool. Sorry, Nick. Sorry.
Kaya, it's okay. Kaya catches up to him right before he escapes into the night, and to give him her crystal dagger to remember her by. This is one of those scenes where I'm like, wow, but he just has to say goodbye to his sister forever, and he takes the dagger and he's like, I guess I'll never see you again. And she's like, well,
and we don't, right? Like this Kaya.
That's it. He never goes back,
right?
He can't go back. Although technically speaking, like he could go back now, right? Because the curse is lifted. I don't know.
No, but he's not supposed to. Like, I feel like they made it clear that like it's not that he was just cursed. Yeah, it's like if you leave this valley or whatever the hell it is, you can't come back. And it just that seemed like an arbitrary rule that, like, let's be frank, it's not working for them. They're about to go extinct.
Terrible.
I agree with you, Kevin.
Ashi spots a massacre occurring in the village down below. He lets loose an arrow at one of the brigands, but the demon in his arm supercharges it and takes the bad guy's arms off. Then he shoots another dude's head off, and then he's like, "Maybe I should not be a part of this battle because I'm fucking people up."
It's got to be what I like. You got to assume that Henry Rowan-Gardner in Rookie of the Year felt the same way when he threw that that first ball.
What a movie!
I literally want you to know we're on the same page because the next line is I can't remember, but I think this was the exact storyline of Rookie of the Year.
Dude, it was seeing this was insane because I knew that this movie was graphic. Like Andy had told me, like, yo, it's graphic, and you know, when I was little, it was like a lot for me to deal with, and I thought that referred to the fact that this movie started off with him fighting a giant boar that decomposed in actually the most graphic way humanly possible. Like that was scientifically created to terrify children. Like no one could
smell it.
You can through the screen. You're like, oh
insane.
God.
And then it cuts within 3 minutes of seeing that. We see this dude with an arrow lob people's heads off, arms off. It doesn't matter. Everything's popping off. The action in this movie is so well animated, so well cut and edited to be exciting and keep you on your toes. Where you're just like, I don't know, anything can fucking happen, and anything does happen.
Yeah, like so the first guy gets his head cut off, and the other guy's still in pursuit. And Ashi's like, "Please leave me alone. I gonna kill you.
I will
like,
kill you.
I
Right.
don't want to do this, but it's gonna happen. And then he just keeps on pursuing it. Another head just comes a rolling. So
Idle
sad.
Hands, 1998.
Wow,
Great,
dude.
great film.
Wow. Oh my god, get rid of Jessica Alba. Oh my god.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Jesus.
Of course, later in the town, Ashi tries to pay for a bowl of rice with a nugget of gold, and Billy Bob Thornton tries to help him with a currency exchange. He follows Ashitaka out of town while some bad dudes from the village follow them as well. Later that night, they make some stew and talk about how Ashitaka lost the demon's trail. Jigo, I can't remember how they pronounce it, tells him
It's Billy Bob.
It's just Billy Bob tells him, he's like, man, it doesn't matter. Nothing fucking matters anymore, man. The whole damn world's gone to shit.
Nothing matters. Angelina Jolie's got my blood on her necklace.
I got a bottle of blood on her blood on my neck too. They did both. It was really creepy. Later that night, they make some stew. Oh, sorry. Ashitaka feels bad about the intervening in the fight, but Jago was like, dude, you win some, you lose some. And Jago figures out that Ashi is from the Amishi tribe because of some of the stuff that he has with him, then which was supposed to have been wiped out 500 years ago. And so now you're kind of like, oh, maybe this is painting a picture of these people just are like super, super cloistered in this valley and they don't want any outsiders. So once you leave, you can't come back. And that kind of makes sense. But also, as Kevin so astutely pointed out, not really working for him. They're all dying off. Ashi shows him the ball of iron taken from the boar's stomach, and Jago tells him of a place high in the mountains where the spirit of the forest dwells. There's a bunch of giants, and it's super scary and dangerous for humans. So naturally, Ashi's like, I'm just going to head straight there the next morning. And Jago watches him while he leaves and whispers to himself, see you there, my friend. And it's kind of creepy and ominous.
But he also snuggles up in such a comfortable way that I was like, I want to feel that. I want to feel that blanket.
Yes.
Yeah.
But so here's the thing. Billy Bob's shoes. Like, I think we
Right.
need to talk about them for a second.
Tim, you wouldn't understand. It's a short man's game. You know, sometimes you just need those extra couple.
I want you to
inches,
watch
you know what
Iron Man 2. Watch Iron Man 2 and look at
Okay.
the shoes that Robert Downey Jr. is wearing. Enough said.
I also, I also watch every Mission Impossible. Look at the shoes Tom Cruise is wearing.
Exactly. Tim,
I
you don't
get it,
understand.
but like
You're
I've
above
never
6 feet.
seen a person have a high heel in the middle of their shoe. Like it's an impressive thing. And when it first is shown here,
It's just
I was talking
I don't
to
think
Joey.
it's a high heel then.
I
That's
was-
a high
It's a type of
arch.
it's a type of shoe.
That's
It's
fair. That's fair.
you know what I mean?
It's just
But,
really
like,
high.
Typically, those shoes have one in the
Two.
front, one in the back. This one just has the one. Less
And
one.
it was like unclear in this first scene that because I was like, is his shoes just really weird? And Joey was like, oh no, I think that he's like on a stool or something. And I was like, all right, I buy that. Like he's like crouching on the stool. But then later we see him in a fight scene. It's just like, no, he straight up has these weird ass T shoes. Good,
Hey,
good for
man.
him doing some things.
Later when we see the fight scene, like I was very impressed how he went from like just like, you know, normal skeezy him
It was
to
Attack
like
of the Clown.
I'm
Clones,
gonna
Yoda.
fuck yep. We had that Yoda moment of like, oh shit, his thing is fucking fast roundhouse kicks.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty
mistake-
cool.
And Nick, the mistake that he made, that Billy Bob made with these large platform shoes, he isn't wearing long sort of bell bottom style jeans to cover up where
Exactly.
the shoes begin, where the feet end. Yeah.
Exactly.
But I love this introduction to this character, like jokes aside, just because it got so much lore told in a way that I thought was quick and fascinating and built the worlds that we need to know of the different tribes and different situations. And I love how clear it was that we shouldn't trust this guy and that he's going to come back in some way that's going to be interesting. And that's what felt to me like we're already hitting kind of the arc of like this would have been the end of episode 3 of a season, where it's like, that guy's going to come back and there's going to be a whole thing going on. And that's the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah, right. So, when we get that here from Jago watches him go and whispers, see you there, my friend, to himself, which consequently is exactly what Andy likes to say to all the ants he tortures to death with that hydrochloric acid he got from Walgreens. In a different part of the world, a small squad of soldiers led by Lady Eboshi shoots rocket at San, also known as Princess Mononoke, and her dire wolves. And they have but unfortunately for them, they have the same aim that Greg has when he's drunk and trying to win Ultimate Chicken Force. What a stupid, stupid fool he is. The squad is ambushed by a giant dire wolf. They light it up. I think
What a
this
stupid fool.
Lady Eboshi's people are ambushed by Moro, who is the giant dire wolf mother. They light her up and hit her in the sternum with a bullet. But apparently she's a god who Eboshi makes note. She's like, he's very, very hard to kill. And then one of the Moro looks up at her and goes, you want to come hard out? Come my heart out, Andy.
Kamada.
I got so excited at this point.
Belinda,
Like,
Belinda, that's
dogs.
Steven Seagal, Belinda.
She does
Yes.
not care.
It's also a callback to a
She
joke we
does
make a
not
lot
care.
on next week's KFAF.
I'm sure it's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, Belinda, if you need, like, if you really want, I know you're very studious with your film work. Like, you're very well learned in the ways of old movies. Look up Steven
She's
Seagal's
well learned,
Hard to Kill, Time to Kill, Killing Time. Like, there's all his movies.
all
I'll
three words.
absolutely do this.
Above the law, hard to
Yeah.
kill.
That's the next thing
Great.
I'll watch.
Nick, I've known you over a decade at this point, and I've heard
Yeah.
you say Gamakamata like probably 100 times, if not more.
Come on.
And it wasn't until this moment that I realized what is he actually saying?
You want to cut my heart out?
Yeah, Tim, let me
Did not
explain
know
this
that.
to you.
I thought Nick was
Can you
just
please explain
saying noises.
Tim, let me explain this to you. There's a very Latino sort of gangster guy who's like going after Steven Seagal, and he's like, "I'm gonna fucking cut your heart out, ese." And it cuts to Steven Seagal, and he goes, "You want to come out? Come a kamada. You want to come out? Come a kamada."
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
learning something here.
It's great. Moving forward.
Seagal in review.
One day, and that'll get no views. Ashi fishes a couple of dudes out of the river down below and then hides so he can watch the leader of the dire wolves suck some poison out of the big one's wounds. Ashi announces himself to San, but she is not having it. And then one of the dudes from the river wakes up and sees a little alien known as a Kodama, and it's terrifying. It's a
They're
tree
cute.
spirit, apparently, which would usually be good luck unless one of your legs is broken and you can't run away, just like this guy is. And then when you turn around and there's thousands of them there, you're like, we're gonna die and they're gonna eat our soul.
Oh, it's like the
They're
Dilophosaurus.
cute.
They're cute,
Exactly.
Belinda, but they're cute like in an ugly way. Like they're ugly, but they're still cute.
Yeah, I don't
they're,
trust
they're,
these.
they're
I think they're
creepy.
cute in a cute way.
No, they're creepy. The fact that like they communicate by slowly turning their head around is
And the clicking
fucking
noise.
like the scariest thing I think that you
It's
could
terrifying.
ever.
When they're popping off, looking at the tree spirit towards you, and like that sounds, it sounded awesome. I loved
It's
it.
terrifying.
Like, can you imagine, Belinda,
chorus
if
of
I
clicks.
just smiled right now and my head slowly turned clockwise all the way around? Because that's
Oh,
what
here
they
we
were
go.
They
doing.
don't go all the way
Photoshop.
around, do they?
Here comes a
pretty
Photoshop.
sure they do. I'm pretty sure they do. I'm pretty right. I mean, there's moments where we see it go nearly halfway. We're talking 180 degrees, easy.
A Kodama with a cute little butt leads them through the forest while thousands of them come out of the woodworks. Finally, all of those little ants will rise up against Andy and take their revenge.
I don't know what this is.
They cross a
It's
magical
funny
cli-
because this joke makes me think that Nick's been killing ants. You know?
And doesn't Andy kind of just strike you as the kind of person that he's like quiet and nice, and then he's just got a
No,
whole
but
ant hill where
you
he's like,
really
"Tonight,
do.
you."
You really do. You know what I mean?
They make it into
No,
a
don't stop
magical
walk
clearing
away
in the
from this.
forest with Ashi. And Ashi stops and spots the tracks of the wolves with the girl with them. He spots more recent tracks. He's like, these ones look a little different. And then he looks up and he sees a herd of deer-like creatures off in the distance. Of course, the last one he sees is the bigger, massive deer with all the cool horns. And we don't quite know who that is yet. But later, of course, it'll be revealed that that is the forest spirit in its daytime form itself. His demon arm, of course, sees it and goes freaking nuts. It wants to eat, so he plunges it into the magical water below to calm its evil spirit as the deer in the distance disappears. They break through the tree line and spot Lady Eboshi's village in the Iron Town, is what they call it, where they make iron or something, I assume. The town is super stoked that Kuroku and the other dude are back from the dead. Gonza, the captain of the guards, is suspicious of Ashitaka since he's made his way through the Forbidden Forest, and apparently if you go in there, no one ever comes out. Kuroku's wife, Toki, played by, I believe, Jada Pinkett Smith, comes in hot, and she thanks Ashi for bringing her dumbass husband home, and then kind of flirts with him a little bit. And I'm like, do you really want your husband to come home? Because I can put his ass right back in that forest, be eaten by those little alien fuckers, and you and I can we can make a home for ourselves here.
Yeah.
The amount of cleavage that all the prostitutes have is just
impressive.
Former
is-
prostitutes.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yes. Former prostitutes.
Because
Kevin,
now
you don't know
they're
this, but-
working out their thighs on that cool machine. What was that?
Yeah.
Bella.
Those are
It's
very.
a whole body workout, Andy, because they're working out their core and arms, and then they got the heels, calves, and thighs getting when you push down.
Fuck yeah, dude.
It's a good workout.
Head, shoulders, knees, and toes.
The first time I went to Japan for Tokyo Game Show with Fran, I had to knock on his door to ask him something late at night, and he was wearing one of those robes, one of those traditional Japanese robes that only cover pretty much
Holy
right down
shit.
to the top of your thigh. That's where they cut her.
No.
Now, to be fair, when I told that story, I was like, was it me that was wearing the robe and he knocked on my door, or the opposite? I can't remember. But for comedic sake, let's just imagine.
Did the hotel provide said robes?
Whatever happened to Japan?
Yeah. And Japan.
Andy talking about you projecting like all that stuff. There was that, and I was like, I could say this. I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save it.
I said that.
And then later when this just happened, and you even flipped it of like, Frandis, it might have been me. I'm just gonna jump to it because we just saw this deer, right? This majestic deer that is just backlit, and it's fucking beautiful, and it's like it's godlike, and you see his eyes just be like, whoa, I'm seeing some other worldly shit right now. Later in the movie, we get a face reveal of this.
That thing's terrifying.
And why was my first thought? Oh, that's Nick.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
Because it reminds me of that Photoshop that someone did with my face onto a koala bear. That's exactly what it looked like. You remember that one?
Might be it.
It was me. I showed that to my wife. She was like, "Never show me any of these stupid Photoshop challenges."
It's the way that the neck is elongated and like the face really doesn't match that. Like you expect it to have a longer face, but it has more of a face. And it's like,
they described what the being looked like, and they said it has sort of a human face. But it reminds me of Nick when Nick does the. Like when he does that.
That's what it is. It's like it's that Nick face, and I'm like,
no, I don't want to see it.
But there's never a live action Princess Mononoke. I want Nick.
Hey, Andy, I'm gonna haunt your forest. Here's what we have. We have 2 Photoshops so far for next week's Photoshop challenge here on In Review. One is make Kevin's head spin around 360 degrees and then put my face on the forest spirit while you're there. Put me on the Nightwalker also, because that thing is terrifying.
This is horrible.
Lady Eboshi apologizes. She pops up and apologizes to everyone for the shit that went down, and then invites Ashi to dinner. Ashi sits with the men eating the rice that they almost died to get, worth noting, while some of the women invite Ashi to, just come over and see where we work later at night when our husbands aren't here. And I'm like, dude, he was sent on a mission, Andy, and I think he's figured out what that's supposed to be. One of the men tells Ashi about Nago, the giant boar god who used to rule the whole area. They needed to clear the forest to mine some iron, and that really pissed Nago off. All was hopeless until Lady Eboshi showed up with her rifles and lit his ass up. And then Ashi puts 2 and 2 together and realizes that piece of iron that was stuck there came from this village, and that's what killed the boar, or at least enraged him to become incensed and become a demon. Ashi, of course, feels sympathy for the boar god. He must have died filled with hate, is what he says. Later that night,
that was such a cool line. That was such a cool line.
We see Eboshi examining some of the same iron, so it's 1-to-1. Of course, we're like, okay, we're in the right spot here. And Ashi comes in. He tells her that he's been poisoned and will die. When asked about his agenda, he tells the lady he's come to see with eyes unclouded, and she laughs at him. She just looks at him and she laughs at him. And then she goes, you know what? I'll just show you all my secrets because you're an idiot and don't know how to lie, so it's fine. I know you're a straight shooter. Which at first I was like, dude, why would you do this? But then I was like, forget it, it doesn't matter. She's not worried about this guy at all. I wrote something in here about Gina's secret garden and Porco Rosso, but as it turns out, Eboshi really does have a secret garden. She's like, here, I'll walk you through my secret garden, which is interesting. Before that, of course, she walks him by the bellows where all the women are. I'll just read the joke.
Gina had a secret garden, though, right?
She did, but I always thought that secret garden was a euphemism.
Go ahead, let me hear the joke.
Jesus Christ. Don't drink. Stop drinking. Just continue. Just continue.
For sex stuff, Kevin. Let's see. Lady. Okay, so she walks in by the bellows and then through her secret garden, which I'm not getting. That's actually what she does. Into a small weapons factory run by lepers who are making rifles. First, she notes these ones are specifically being made for the women. They're supposed to be very, very powerful and light so the women can wreck shit up. The newest rifles, she notes, should kill any forest demons and puncture any samurai armor. Ashi's arm goes nuts at this and tries to unsheath its own sword to strike her down, but Ashi stops it. He says he'd have to kill the entire town to stop the real death, and he's not really willing to do that. The lead leper pleads with Ashi to give Eboshi a break. She's the only one who sees them as humans. And so it's like we're trying to build her into a little bit more of a sympathetic character here. I'm not quite sure I quite buy it, because she does note that she's like, listen, when we kill all these damn things, we kill the forest spirit, or we kill all these things enough, they're going to go back to just being normal dumbass animals, and we can just have our way with the land. This place is going to be lit-y, like it's going to be worth a lot of money. But of course, she has to once and for all kill this Princess Mononoke character because she is the princess of spirits and ghouls and beasts and all sorts of stuff like that. And she's the protector of the forest. And she really, really, really wants to kill Eboshi. So that's where we have to start.
I think the reason why we don't necessarily hate Eboshi as much as we probably should is because none of it seems to come from an evil place. This it's never like, I hate these these useless like forest gods or whatever.
Right.
Like it just seems like I gotta do what I gotta do to fuck it. Like these lepers need to eat, they need to be cured, they need like all this stuff. Like,
and there's the iron is under the mountain or something, and they have to get to it, but they have to get rid of the forest to get to it or something.
I feel like what we have with her character is that she is fully towards the human side of it, and then later with the god of the boars, he is fully towards the animal side. So we have these two characters that are trying to back, for good reasons I'd say, back their own sides, that are super opposites, and we have this kid who's trying to find somewhere in the middle and to teach them both, that middle line is important.
And that I think that's shown explicitly through San's character, where she is human and wolf, debatably.
But she chooses a side, and she doesn't like being called human, and she's like, no, like I'm a wolf. And then later, Ashitaka's like, no, you're a human like me. No.
Deal with it.
And you're beautiful. Wolf. You're beautiful. I'm just a wolf.
There is a line in this movie that someone says, wolf. I'm just a something.
Yeah, I'll get to it. Don't worry about it.
Good.
Don't worry about it, Tim. I got all those lines in here.
Don't know why I worried.
Let's see. Legend says that the blood of the aging spirit can cure anything. Perhaps it will cure her lepers and maybe even lift Ashitaka's cursed arm. Ashi heads down to help out with the bellows, which is run by the women whose only other option for employment is being prostitutes downtown, and so they're very, very happy to be here and be useful and not have to expose themselves to that. And again, this is another sympathetic moment for Eboshi, because we're kind of getting that she's like, I really want to protect these women, and I have to do what is necessary, and that includes making those dollars. Let's see. Princess Mononoke and her wolf rush the village outside. They rush the wall, and then the thing just slams its head into one of the wolves. Just slams its head into one of the pillars, and then it just catapults Mononoke up into the onto the roof. She moves like a damn spider monkey. She starts attacking everything. She attacks Ashi as he pleads with her to stop, and then he chases her up the fortress roof. Eboshi calls her out and says, if you want revenge, come meet two women whose husbands were killed by your wolves. And we're getting there's casualties on all sides, but of course Ashi's like, dude, don't go in there, it's a trap. Return of the Jedi in 1983, but it's too late. The soldiers blast her with their rifles. Ashi uses his demon arm to throw a roof at everyone and then rushes to her side, but Mononoke is playing dead. She pops up and attacks Lady Eboshi. Ashi realizes what must be done. He unleashes the full power of his demon arm to show everyone in the village what hate really looks like. He knows Eboshi. Excuse me. I think he knocks Eboshi out and takes the unconscious princess away with him. One of the women, of course, aims a rifle at him to avenge Lady Eboshi, the attack on Lady Eboshi, and accidentally puts a bullet through Ashi's chest. Unfazed, of course, he walks toward that big gate, leaving a trail of blood behind him, and opens the massive door with one hand.
Dude,
yes.
Go for it, Kev.
I was just going to say, the animation of him knocking out Lady Eboshi was so fucking cool. It cut to the close-up of him going, "Cut!" and her just being like, "Ugh!" Man, that was rad.
And such a baller move of him being like, "Hey, come get her. She'll be fine. Like, she's gonna be okay. Don't worry about her. I'm gonna walk away. Oh, you're gonna shoot me through the stomach? I'm just gonna keep walking." Because
this is my favorite scene in the entire movie, and it all starts with the wolf, just like such a great move of jumping up the Iron Town or whatever it's called, like obviously has spiked guards to stop this from happening, but these wolves had the plan. Launch her up. She gets up. She's running around super ninja and super fast. A fucking badass immediately. Like, we've only seen this character once before, and she was sucking blood out. Like, that is so crazy that we now see this and you're like, I'm instantly in love with you. You're fucking cool. She stands on the roof and gets a hero song. Like, she gets this badass theme song moment. They have this whole fight. It ends with a super sick, well animated, like, sword fight thing with the lady, but also we get some great character moments of face these women with these fucking guns who those people killed their husbands. It's like everything I could ask for from this type of movie was just delivered to me right here. And then they're like, oh, but wait, it's going to get cooler because he's going to bleed out and push open a door he's not supposed to be able to push over.
Yeah. But the part of animation that I just absolutely adore is where he finally puts his hand on the door and they're like, you can't do this. This thing, like 10 people requires 10 men to open this. And you see the arm kind of like push in on itself, like it's crumpling up on itself, and then it finally starts to open, but it just looks like,
and he doesn't say anything, he just does it, like they tell him and he's just like cool.
And every time he's about to do strong shit, he sort of does the Super Saiyan stuff where his clothes start to move and his hair kind of starts to move. It's so cool.
Dude, when that moment happened, I turned to Paul and I was like, his demon hand, he's gonna use his demon hand strength. And she was just like, yeah.
Up on the hill, San wants to kill Ashi for stopping her from killing Eboshi, but he calls her beautiful, and they're interrupted by the ape tribe who wants to eat Ashi to steal his strength and drive the rest of the humans away. San tells them it won't work, it'll just turn them into something else, and then she tells them to keep planting trees and let her find a way to beat the humans. The wolves chase them off and try to eat Ashi, but Ashitaka's elk they try to eat Ashitaka's elk, cool, but Sand saves him and uses it to carry Ashi to her secret garden with all the cute little budded aliens down there as well. She cuts off a branch from the tree and coaxes Yakul into the water with Ashitaki on its back. There are some skeletons and shit in there, but we won't talk about that. Right, Andy? We don't talk about the skeletons we come across. Sand drags Ashitaka onto a special little island.
Like, it seems like he's got some secrets that he's trying to tell you.
I'm just saying, Andy, you and me, we're in this together now.
I hate that so much because Nick says it, he blames Andy, he says, right, Andy? And then he just laughs to himself and then just moves on.
Sand drags Ashi on a little tiny island, but Yakul is scared of it. She's like, oh, you're smart. She sets the elk free, but he stays put to show San what he really looks like. Also, he goes, I got nowhere else to go. Officer and a Gentleman, 1992. Off in the distance, the massive shape of the Nightwalker approaches. It apparently is the ethereal shape of the forest spirit, while the sun is down. When the sun comes up, it takes the form of the deer. And then midday, it just has a little siesta. Jigo watches in bearskin with other members of his hunters. They're out in the forest and they're looking for that spirit's head, man. They're like, we'll just wait for our time. We'll just bide our time and then take that fucker's head off. The Nightwalker transforms back into, I'll say it's an elk. Actually, I'm gonna say it's a deer with a red face, and it's really creepy, like Tim pointed out. And then he eats the leaves from the branch Sand left on the island while staring creepily and not blinking at all at Ashitaka's unconscious, semi-dead body. And this is where I'm like, what's gonna happen? What's he gonna do to this kid, Belinda? What's he gonna do?
Belinda.
Have you guys ever seen Kevin's?
Nick looks around. He's like, "Who's most uncomfortable here? Who should I target?"
Always me.
Belinda.
Always me. Every
once in a while, I'll have lunch with Kevin, and he'll space out for a little bit while chewing, and he'll just look off in the distance, and he'll go, and it's fucking terrifying.
Great for audio listeners. I do love that we just got the sequel to. Why do we revere the Big D? Andy? What is he going to do to him? Belinda?
What's he going to do to that very young boy? Jigo and his men spot a herd of boars led by Okoto, an old, stark white boar with an unpleasant disposition, voiced by none other than Keith David. He's the one that did the VO at the beginning. Okoto spots Jigo, so they split. Meanwhile, Ashitaka dreams of the massive deer he saw earlier while the forest spirit licks his wounds. He wakes in the glen with Yakul by his side. His bullet wound is healed, but his arm is still all funky. Sand feeds him some beef jerky from Costco to help nurse him back to health. But when he can't chew it, she does it. She chews it for him like a mama bird. And I think this is supposed to be endearing, but it kind of makes me want to vomit in my mouth.
This wasn't hot for you?
No, mind. This was definitely one of those moments where I was like, Andy, you can keep whatever you're going to do to your aunts, and we'll just move on.
You didn't think at this moment like you want to find someone that would mama bird food for you if you needed them to?
Don't knock it till you try it.
Yeah.
Don't knock it till you try it.
This is a big moment where it's like these guys are going to be together forever if they can sort it out.
Kevin, hire someone to spit in your mouth on your own time. Akoto's herd.
I don't have to hire anyone. I found my soulmate.
But Moro Moro the wolf tells them to go home. Of course, Moro's played by Gillian Anderson. San tells the boars that the forest spirit saved Ashitaka, and they get pissed, like, why didn't he save Nago? And then she's like, well, Nago was afraid to die, so he fled, and the darkness took him over. Moro, of course, who was wounded, won't do the same thing. She'll remain and contemplate the death of as the human bullet inside of her will eventually deal her. Ashitaka interrupts and tells them that the demon Nago about the demon that Nago had become. He shows them his hand as proof. He came there to beg the forest spirit to lift Nago's curse, but only the human wound was healed. Akoto approaches and sniffs Ashitaka's hand for the truth, and he's like, "This kid's telling the truth." He's telling the truth.
I'm just a kid.
And it's very, very powerful. And I think to myself, if only we could get the truth out of Kevin the same way. But instead, all we would probably smell are what? Cheeto dust? Can I throw that out there?
Are you you're smelling my
What do
mouth?
you guys been smelling your fingers?
Hand.
Oh, coffee beans.
There it is. Let's see. Akoto tells Ashitaka to leave the forest, or he'll kill him the next time he sees him.
They smell good.
I don't doubt it, man. Let's see. His
bagel?
boars grow small and stupid. They don't have a choice. They have to mount one last stand against the humans before they all become dumb, mindless animals, even if the effort kills them. They bounce, and Sand spots the forest spirit, and it's still really creepy. It does one of those things where it walks and it kind of looks over. It's like,
Yeah, it looks exactly like that.
It really does.
It's too good. I really don't like this.
Now
I'm
that
gonna look away.
Would you want to be man or animal, Nick?
would I want to be man or animal? Definitely the forest spirit. Everyone's on the forest spirit's jock, man.
No,
they're
the
jocking this thing.
like the forest spirit, like doesn't seem like it seems like it doesn't like it's not smart. It's like more an animal than anything.
It's just life, man. It's out there just to eat stuff
Sometimes,
and hang
though,
out with its herd.
I look at Nick and I'm just like, he's a man, but sometimes he's just so hairy. He's just so hairy.
Here comes
I'm
the
like,
ad.
is he
There it is.
an animal? Maybe we can turn him back to a man if we were just to shave his bush. 2020 has been the year of things happening that are completely out of our control, but there's one thing you can control, and that's shaving your bush. Our sponsors at Manscaped are here to remind you to do so. The Manscaped Lawnmower 3.0 is a premium electric trimmer that's designed to give you a confidence boost through body image. No more looking like an animal. Now you'll look like a man. The ceramic blade and skin-safe technology are designed to reduce nicks or tugs on your fellas down below. The Lawnmower 3.0 is also waterproof and comes with an LED light, so you can manscape in the shower, in the dark, or in a dark shower. I didn't write that. It just sounds like I did. The Shears 2.0 is a luxury 4-piece nail kit featuring tempered stainless steel tools, and it includes tipped tweezers, rounded point scissors, fingernail clippers, and a medium grit nail file. I have this. I've been using it. It's a great thing. I've always had nail clippers, but I didn't have all those other things, and I could have been using them for about 2 decades of my life. So I'm happy that things are now fixed for me thanks to Manscaped. You guys can get 20% off plus free shipping with the code MORNING at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code MORNING. It's time to grab 2020 by the horns and shave that front trunk. Really hard to read front and trunk back to back. Gets all messed up. Again, that is manscaped.com, 20% off with free shipping. Use code MORNING. Also, shout out to ExpressVPN. Have you ever watched The Office? If you have, you probably know it's based on a UK series also called The Office. But I'm about to blow your simple little minds. Did you know that there are a ton of other countries, 9 other countries with their own versions of The Office that you have never seen? You probably didn't know about them because they're not usually available in your country, but you can access content available around the globe with no geo restrictions when you use ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN lets you control where you want sites to think that you're located. You can choose from nearly 100 different countries, giving you access to content that isn't available in your region. If you like watching shows or movies, ExpressVPN is a must-have. ExpressVPN is also incredibly fast, doesn't slow down your connection. You can stream content in HD quality with no issues whatsoever. You can get the most out of your streaming services today at expressvpn.com/kindafunny. If you use this link, you'll get an extra 3 months free of ExpressVPN for free. That's expressvpn.com/kindafunny. expressvpn.com/kindafunny to learn more. Back to the plot.
Oh, okay. Let's see. They bounce. Yeah. Okay. Outside the forest, Lady Eboshi and her men are straight murdering fools with their rifles. Jaigo approaches to strike a deal with her on behalf of their enemy, Lord Asano. Jaigo wants the head of the forest spirit. Once he has that, he'll team up with her to beat Lord Asano once and for all. He shows Eboshi the letter he has from the Emperor, and then she shows it to some of the girls who have never heard of him. She's like, never heard of him. And apparently the Emperor is after the forest head, so that believing that if he gets the head, it will grant him the gift of immortality. Lady Eboshi tells Jaigo she'll honor her word to him, and then tells her girls to hang back. If they kill the forest spirit, Jaigo might double cross them and come for Irontown. Guess what? Spoilers. He does. Ashi wakes up next to San on Pride Rock as a singer literally narrates what's happening in the frame, and it's very weird. She's like, they're sleeping next to each other. It's raining. Sky is dark. I'm like, all right, well, we'll move on.
Dude, it was fucking horrible.
It was
worst
weird.
thing about this movie, undeniably. I don't understand how this made it through. I don't understand why they chose the English version. I don't know that the Japanese version's better. It must be.
It's definitely
anything
better.
would have been better than this. This is
can't
just a misstep for sure.
As he looks over the precipice of the ledge, Moro tells him he should jump and end it all before he regains his strength and the darkness takes him. Moro lives for the day when she can bite Eboshi's head off, but Ashitaka challenges her. Why can't the animals and humans find a way to live together, he asks. But if Moro and the animals die, so will Sand, he reminds her. He's like, and then she tells the story of how she came across Sand, where she's like, Sand was left or like given to her as like at the altar of, or her parents were going to die, so they like left her behind, and then she raised her as her own. And now Sand is half wolf, part man, neither human nor animal, kind of both, hybrid, just like Blade. None of their weaknesses, all of their strengths. The next morning, Blade 1999. There you go. Thank you. Ashitaka wakes to find his shit packed. Yakul is waiting outside for him with one of the wolves watching in the distance. Ashi thanks the wolf for showing him the way back to Irontown and throws it Kaya's crystal dagger that he was given before he left town to give to San as a gift. On the cliff above the forest, the humans are setting traps for the boars. They're burning animal meat to enrage them and incense them. San pleads with her mother to let her go and help Koto. He's blind and she wants to be his eyes. Moro tells her daughter that Ashi wanted to spend. She's like, that boy wanted to spend his life with you.
I hate him. It's like, all right,
and then the wolf, and then the other wolf arrives with Ashi's gift.
Nick, like, the boar's blind, but also like a lot of eye boogers. Maybe just kind of do some.
Can we get a little?
Someone wipe it off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Maybe that's why you're blind. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Oh, Nick, what the fuck?
Happening there. Oh, you didn't say shit when someone was like mama birding stuff into people's mouths, but now you take offense of licking eye boogers.
Yeah,
you got a weird mentality, Andy. You're the
one
ants.
bringing it up, but nobody ever brought
ants,
up,
buddy.
Nick. Nobody brought up licking eye boogers until you just did.
Don't do the face.
He's doing the forest
spirit face.
Moro orders her wolves to stay with San while she goes to the forest spirit. San asks a boar for directions, but it just squeals at her, so she wishes it luck. Stupid boars. Ashi hears thunder.
She didn't understand the boar?
I don't know. I think that was one of those moments where I think we were supposed to be kind of seeing the boars regress back into just being normal animals.
I thought she understood it because she was like, all right, thank you.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah. That's possible. Ashi hears thunder and gets a flash of the battle raging down below. Dodging samurai, he and Yakul swim across the river toward Irontown, which is being ambushed by Lord Asano's men. Once they get there, Toki and the girls spot Ashi. They throw him his bow and arrow and tell him to go warn Lady Eboshi that the town is under siege. Just the cook. Lonely cook.
That's another Steven Seagal movie.
Under Siege. Ashi gets to the cliff where Eboshi's men were burning the animal flesh and enraging the boars, but Yakul takes an arrow in the ass. Two samurai approach on horseback, and Ashi makes quick work of them, killing one of them with his own arrow, which is awesome. Ashi orders Yakul to stay back, but once again, Yakul shows a motherfucker what loyalty looks like and limps his ass up the hill with Ashi. And I, yet again, would like to nominate him for MVP status.
I mean, this is for sure the moment that locked it in for me. Like, the first time he was just so vigilantly following him but stops on the island because he knows better, I was like, I'm very impressed by this guy. And then when he's like, dude, stay here... And the guy's just like, no. I'm going with
Something
you.
I was
with you,
shocked
bro.
by is we never heard him talk. I was expecting him at some
I'm
point
glad we
to
didn't.
speak.
I didn't want to hear
And
him talk.
you know what? I'm okay with it too, unless he had
There's
a
actually
badass voice.
there's an alternate cut of this actually that has a moment where he does turn to the camera and speak, and it sounds like this. So they cut it out. They were like, I don't know if that.
No,
fits.
expecting that out of all things.
I was not expecting that.
Not expecting Nick's goat impression. What a fun interview.
No, that's not how he looks. It's a different animal.
I invented spirits. Oh man. Let's see. Where the hell did we leave off here? Okay, when he tries, let's see. Okay, the fight with the boars was a slaughter on all fronts. The men of Irontown were used as fodder by Jago's riflemen, and they were even gone as far as just blown up by grenades. Ashi gets a vision of one of the wolves caught underneath the carcass of a dead boar. When he tries to save it, Jago's men shoot a bunch of poison darts at him, and the villagers just like, enough is enough. So they just beat his ass, and then they help Ashi free the wolf so he can go find Lady Eboshi. Cool, and the wolf kind of make out a little bit. And at first I was like, I don't know if I'm allowed to admit how hot this is, but I'll say it anyway. It's hot. And then they head off into the forest with the wolf. Ashi heads off in the forest with the wolf. Cool.
Wait, real quick. That was a very awkward cut because it looked like they were about to make out, and then it just cut. And it was like, did the deer just fucking make out with the wolf?
First off, yes, and I think again another alternate cut that I saw, Tim. I don't know which one you guys watched, but apparently they met at a hostel in Europe a long time ago, and they just had like 3 really steamy, stinky nights because at hostels you don't shower that much, and they just haven't seen each other in years. So it was cool to like, hey, how are you? Remember Spain? All right, Sand leads Kodo toward the pool of forest, but both he and Moro, the other wolf, are hemorrhaging blood. The ape tribe attacks them and warns them that bad things are coming, neither human nor animal. It's the end for us. Sand spots a group of undead boar warriors and orders them. What's that? Warriors. The good one, Tim.
Thank you.
Orders them to follow him into the pool of the spirit. For a forest spirit, but Sand knows better. They're humans in. She's like, they're not undead warriors. They are in fact humans in boar skin. San orders her wolf ahead to warn Mora that the humans are setting a trap for the forest spirit. They overtake her as cool wolf with Ashitaka howls. He goes, "Oh!" Okoto burns with flames growing inside of him. Demon worms spring from his wounds, but San tries to help him. When she tries to help him, she gets knocked out by one of the warriors. When she wakes, of course, she's being carried away by Okoto's demon corpse, and the worms start affecting her too.
Yeah.
Ashi races to her. What's up?
The Warriors, they stayed in character for way longer than I would have. Way longer.
That is very true.
Kevin,
to the point that they what they shoot out the little what do they call blow darts?
From the eye.
The eye sockets all over it once. I'm like, damn, this is elaborate as fuck. This is some Team Rocket shit gone too far.
They were a little too into their roles for sure, and I also didn't like how little baby wolf didn't try. Like it just pieced out initially. They came back and eventually attacked them all or whatever. But it just pieced out. I was like, I'm getting out of here. But it's like,
well, no, he had a mission. He had to go ahead and tell the other people, like, hey, man, there's a bunch.
Maybe
of
take out like 3 of these warriors on the way. Just
but,
like on the way out.
Point, like, it's the thing where you either take out all of them or you just keep going because 3 is not going to slow him down. You know what I mean?
I fucking hated the way they looked when they were just slipping and sliding on the ground.
It made me so sad too when like the other boar like believed it and he was like, they're back, and it's like, oh fuck, dude, they're clearly not, man.
Yeah.
Ashi races to save San, but he's ambushed by Eboshi. He tries to warn Lady Eboshi that the Iron Town has been ambushed, but she calls him a liar, liar, pants on fire, and then hangs her women out to dry. Ashi finds Moro's lifeless body by the spirit pool. He calls out to San, but instead...
I thought this was another really, really cool moment that like built on, like kind of made me like this character a little bit more. Because she was like, hey man, at this point, they're as ready as they're gonna be. Like, I've taught them what they need to do. Like, they can hold their own. And I was like, dude, this lady, really cool.
She dope.
Very cool.
List.
Let's see. Ashi finds Moro's lifeless body by the spirit pond. He calls out for San, but instead finds Akoto's demon. The human boars surround him, but he warns the warriors that if they kill him, the forest spirit will never come. They call his bluff and open fire anyway. He fights his way over to San while the wolf pups arrive as backup and start tearing the humans apart. When he gets close to the demon, worms start to swarm him. Fighting, he finds San, but is bucked out into the lake and knocked unconscious. Moro awakes, and she saved the last of her strength, of course, to bite Eboshi's head off. But instead, now she must save San. Akoto approaches, and they square off as Eboshi and Jaigo watch from the forest. Jaigo spots the forest spirit across the lake, and he's like, well, now is the time, man. It walks delicately toward Akoto and Moro as they tussle. Moro calls to Ashitaka to save San. He wakes up and sees the forest spirit approaching. Eboshi looks over, spots it, and then just says, fuck it, and puts one through the forest spirit's head. And at first it's like, oh, and then it goes, oh, and then it keeps walking forward.
Dude,
I'm like, this
but
thing
it
is
stumbles. It stumbles. It's
evil.
walking
So
on the
scary.
water, and one of its feet just dips down, and it's just that moment of like, oh shit, like, is it fucked? And then it
They got
steps,
him,
and it's
yeah.
like, nah. And then we cut back, and she's like, yeah, it's gonna take more than one bullet, you idiot.
Right. The forest spirit, of course, walks over to Moro and Akoto and puts them out of their misery, and then it begins to transform into the Nightwalker. Eboshi tells her boy she's going to move in for the kill, but Ashitaka tries to stop her by throwing his sword through her rifle in the hopes that it will gum up the works. It does not, of course, and there's a cool little moment here right before she pulls it, she pulls the trigger, where the forest spirit looks over at her, and the wood from her rifle starts to sprout all sorts of plants and flowers and things. And then and at first I'd be like, oh, that's so wonderful. Maybe I should just fucking kill this thing. She just blows its head off, just takes it right off its neck.
All right, Nick,
So
imagine this is a KFAF bit.
Mhm.
It's you and me, and I'm gonna I'm trying to steal your bag of goldfish crackers.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I put my hand on the bag, and then you look at the camera with the forest spirit look that you give.
Okay.
You look at the camera. There you go, just like that, exactly. And then the goldfish cracker starts sprouting leaves and grass, and I can no longer grab it. You know what I mean? Think about that.
And then
Let's
it
play.
goes this-
God.
I'm gonna eat some of the goldfish crackers, and then I'm gonna spit them into your mouth. You go, Mama.
No, that's not part of this.
And
then he licks your eye boogers.
Coffee
Yeah.
eye boogers. That's gross.
Too much.
Oh no,
Moro's
Melinda,
head
we're
comes out of-
turning. You're going down a path you don't want to go.
One of us.
Trust me.
One of us. Moro's head slithers out of fucking nowhere and bites off Eboshi's arm while Jago's men throw the forest spirit's head into an iron box. Ashi saves Eboshi from drowning as the spirit's body searches for its head, destroying everything in its path. San is enraged. She hates all humans. Ashi embraces her. Nothing is over. The two of us are still alive. He reminds her. The forest spirit's gooey body crawls out of the forest canopy and chases the men with its head. Back at the Iron Town, Taki and her women watch as the demon body of the forest spirit emerges over the horizon. The men want to run, but Toki, tells them to stand their ground for Lady Eboshi. And then Ashi rides out and goes, "Don't fucking do that. Just get out of here. Get out. If that black goo touches you, you're all dead." He's going to try and return the head before it kills everyone. As the villagers retreat across the river, they watch the town be engulfed in the black goo, and then fires start to break out all over the place. Ashi and San spot Jaigo and race toward him, cutting him off at the pass. Jaigo tries to talk him out of it, but when the sun rises, he says that when the sun rises, the demon will vanish and we'll get everything. It'll be totally cool. I'll split the profits with you 50-50. And he's like, no, I'd rather humanity and nature live together. And then Jaigo's like, fine, have it your way. And he attacks Ashi like Yoda in frickin' Attack of the Clones, but not quite as good because Yoda, I remember, kind of winning that fight. In this one, he just doesn't do that well. And then his efforts are wasted because the forest spirit's body surrounds them all anyway.
Nick, just to be clear, Yoda doesn't win. They go to drop this big like tower on Obi-Wan and Anakin. Yoda has to then catch it and is distracted, at which point Count Dooku, Lord Tyrannus at this point, can escape on his cool little fighter jet. Remember that?
So you're saying that he saved his two friends, one of whom he probably plays racquetball with? Boom, I call that a win, ladies and gentlemen. Ashi orders Jaigo to open the box.
Baby.
He says, open the box. What's in the box? What's in the box, Andy?
What's in the box, Kevin?
1990.
1997.
That one I got.
Was that defeated? Jago relents and he opens the box when
It
he
was
does so. Of
Gwyneth
course.
Paltrow's head.
Exactly. When they take off the lid, the spirit's head floats out of this like watery brine, like Seth Rogen in that weird HBO original where he gets preserved in pickle juice. Ashi and San lift the head
that
out.
just came out, right?
Swear as
American
fuck,
Pickle.
I was gonna watch it, but the trailer was just like, I don't want to
Yeah,
watch
no,
it.
the trailer talked me out of it
Obviously, Seth
too.
Rogen.
Yeah, it looked terrible.
They lift the two princess and prince lift the head of the forest spirit up over their shoulders and offer it to the spirit.
Wait, hold on a second.
And the Nightwalker.
Nick, the chat's getting mad that I spoiled this movie that's like, at this point, 23 years old.
What?
Yeah,
movie?
but I do think that there's a spoiler rule about movies that are so spoiler focused that you never. There's certain spoilers you never spoil.
Stop. That's ridiculous.
I mean, the fact of the matter
that
is
is one of the biggest.
What's in the box is such a meme that if you haven't Googled what is in the box, then that's on you.
I'm gonna block CJ Rock. Just putting this out there.
Don't block him. Just give him a timeout for 45 seconds. The Nightwalker.
I did 6 minutes, 10 minutes.
Bends down and engulfs them with a magical green light, taking his head back. When it raises, it is fully restored, and then it slams. The villagers watch as the Nightwalker falls to the ground, vanishing in a gust of wind that blows out the fires of Irontown. Luscious flowers start to sprout from the ashes, transforming the wrecked village into a beautiful sight. Yakul wakes Ashitaka and San, who rush over to take in the sight of the transformed valley. San thinks the great forest spirit is dead now, but Ashitaka knows better. It's still with them, he says. He is life itself and wants them to know it's time for them to live on. Of course, sounds like that sounds great, and I will always think fondly of you, Ashitaka, but I could never forgive humans for what they did to my mother, and so I'm just going to go live in the forest, and you can visit sometimes. And Ashitaka's like, I get it. I'm not going to try to talk you out of this. And that,
but
and
I will be there on Friday.
I'm gonna come. What are you doing? Like Friday night, Saturday night?
He's like, I'm gonna go every chance I can. It turns out, if you're just living across the little river thing, that's gonna be a lot of chances.
Very true. He's gonna go back. He's like, I'm gonna go back and help the humans rebuild the right way this time. But he and Yakul will come visit from time to time, so Yakul can get it on with his wolf lover. Eboshi orders her men to find Ashitaka so she can thank him. And then vows to.
I just love what just happened.
What?
When Nick just said that, and I just looked at Belinda, and I see with her eyes her thinking. Like, and I don't know what she was thinking. Was she thinking through what Nick just said? Was she thinking, why am I here? Was it both? I'm not really sure. But we appreciate
Nick's on a train, and I'm sort of just being dragged along.
Yeah,
and I'm just
welcome
making
to
sure. Making sure.
Belinda needed to get off on her stop like 8 stops ago, but there hasn't been an opportunity to do it, so she's just going.
Yeah.
Don't know where it's going. Don't know where it's taking me.
Understandable. Let's see. Eboshi orders them to find Ashitaka so she can thank him, and then vows to rebuild a better town this time. And I'm not quite sure if she's learned her lesson or not. Of course, Jago certainly did not. He watches from a nearby rock and laughs as he gives up. He says, "You can't win against fools." And I'm like, I'm not sure if I agree with you, Jago, but you do you.
Nick, did you feel like she was just like, oh, I better say the right thing so no one kills me? You know, where it was like,
she was a weird character. I'm not quite sure she learned. I think she actually was the one that won, of course, because they're like, well, we killed the forest spirits, and now I can just mine the shit out of this place and become a billionaire, and then maybe one day run for president. Down in the forest below, a little cute butt Kodama stares directly into the camera and clicks. The end.
Now the what was it, Kodama? Doesn't that mean that the spirits are still alive and thriving in that forest? Isn't that what he said earlier?
I think it just took a different
form. Healthy forest.
Yeah.
I think it's just. I think, it's no longer going to be an embodiment, and I think it's no longer going to empower the gods, but I think it's still life itself, so it's just taken on a different form.
Also, Kaidama extra noodles.
Oh.
Shishigami, forest spirits. Oh. Shinigami, god of death.
Shinigami.
Coincidence?
Probably, because it's the words. Or actually, no, it's probably not.
Yeah, because remember, he turned into the spirit of death.
Let's do
7
a little
syllables
bit of
in the middle. You need 5 for the first and last line. If you're not poetic, no need to fret it. Haikus don't need to rhyme. Haiku in review. What are these sound effects?
I'm doing your fucking.
I'm just a beatboxer. A lonely beatboxer.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can go to patreon.com/kindoffunny to write your reviews in haiku form. Lee Polero says, MVP. Yeah, cool. It's visually stunning. So many lost arms. So many lost arms. There really was in this movie. I appreciate it.
I could count at least 8.
Zaid Wilson says, so the movie that Mark Hamill isn't in has all the hands cut off.
Wow. Clever.
Oh, God. Guys, Daniel Edmonds, you're a bad example for everyone
Let's
out
get it
there.
on,
Don't
Danny. What do
be
you
like
got for me?
Daniel Edmonds. Don't say things like the spirits have butts. What do they do with their butts? Do they go kiki? Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't.
Yeah, cool knows what they do with those butts.
God
If you don't
damn
know.
it.
Jesus.
No. Oh, you're gonna come over Friday night.
That's not the noise that Yakul made earlier.
I think Yakul is making that noise because he's fucking the wolf.
Oh my God. Kevin G says, what a touching film. Made me vegetarian. Sometimes I miss meat. That was a really good one. That was really good. All right, then the bonus one that I did want to read is there's 2 bonus ones. One, these weren't on Patreon, but they were on Twitter in a response to the promotional tweet, and I liked them. Nick Frontiero says he has demon plague. She was raised by a few wolves. What more can I say? I love the skater boy.
Skater boy. Oh, that's great. Love that.
Awesome. And then Elise Willems, in review alum, replies, and
Just read it, bro. You're already down the rabbit hole.
okay, yeah, I'm going to just read it, but it's a lot of syllables that I'm like, man. Okay. Princess Mononoke, okay, Shishigami, Spirit Hood cosplay.
Okay.
There you go. I don't know that I fully get it. I
Thanks,
but I do
Elise.
want to see her in cosplay with the dope ass Deku mask on. It'd be sick. It would be sick. All right. MVP, obviously, it's our boy. You're cool.
Yeah, cool, dude.
But
You're
where
cool.
does he go on the list?
Mm.
Currently,
One.
number 1, we got the dope daddy from Totoro. Number 2, we got Fujiko from Castle of Cagliostro. Number 3, we have Fio from Porco Rosso. Number 4, we have the Pirates and Dola from Castle in the Sky. Number 5, we have Osono from Kiki. Number 6, we have Tato from Nausicaa.
See, here's the
I'll
thing.
put him at number 3.
I feel
Below
like the dad is the only one that is selfless on the list. Everyone else they're helping out to help themselves. You know what I mean?
Everyone else has got their own agenda, Kevin.
Exactly.
I think Yakul is pretty selfless.
Okay, let me get there, Belinda. Don't jump in
Sorry,
front of me.
alright, sorry.
Belinda, let him get there.
Yakul, pretty selfless. You know what I mean?
A stunning point. A stunning counterpoint made by Kevin.
Belinda, where you at?
I think 1.
Wow.
Wow.
I second it.
I think 1 too. It's just so cool, man.
I'm outvoted.
That's it. The ones have it. We don't even need Andy's opinion.
Andy, you're dumb.
Yeah, cool.
Take your ants and stuff them back in the socks.
Okay.
Why were they in the
currently-
socks to begin with?
Bag full of ants. Socks full of ants.
Bag full of that.
Currently, the Miyazaki movies stand as number 1,
Nick
Nausicaa
needs a
in the Valley
vacation, man.
of the Wind.
been a
Number
long
2, My Neighbor Totoro. Number 3, Kiki's Delivery Service. Number 4, Castle of Cagliostro. Number 5, Porco Rosso. And number 6, Castle in the Sky.
Hmm.
It's number 1, baby. It's
Number one with a bullet straight
think
to the
number
top.
1 too.
Straight to the top.
I think
Nick.
number 1 because it plays on like a lot of things that I love about Nausicaa and just expands on it. So I think it's staying number 1.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I don't know if there's a way you cannot say this is awesome. It's a great
Yeah.
movie.
I'll say the
I'll
one
put it
thing
number
this
one.
didn't have that Nausicaa had was the cool sort of synth wave.
Yeah,
80s
that's
vibes.
true.
Yeah.
And lasers, no lasers.
But
But
this
I
has
will
dope
say
ass
that
killing though.
like we all mentioned that this feels like Miyazaki sort of reimagining the story of man versus environment and trying to find a healthy balance. But it's just I love the world that was created here. So awesome. This movie is so rewatchable for me.
This legitimately, I said it earlier, but this is skyrocketed to one of my favorite movies of all time. It is such a masterpiece. Like, this is an example of when people talk about like what animation can be. It's like, this is it to me. Like this, especially like all the facts I was reading earlier about like how it was one of the most expensive animated of all time, how it's like such one to this day one of the longest animated movies of all time. Like that just shows a level of ambition and insanity where it's like we know what goes into animation, how much that costs, how much time it takes, like all of that. And when you see cartoons or like even anime themselves, they're never as beautifully animated over a long period of time as a movie can be. So for them to be like, we are just going to focus and put everything into making this something special, I am so impressed. And I think that it is a rare case of a movie hitting its level of ambition that it set out to do.
I agree.
Next week,
I agree.
we are talking about Spirited Away, another one I've never seen, and I'm extremely excited to watch.
Never seen it.
Too.
Who's seen it here?
Excited.
I've seen it.
I've never seen it.
Never seen it.
Exciting times for us. Only a couple movies left. We got Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle,
No, there's 4
Ponyo,
movies.
and The Wind Rises.
That's a lot of movies left.
It is a lot of movies.
Yeah,
It is
I would call that a couple.
That's a whole month.
I hope that they are more like this than some of the previous ones, but I don't know what I'm expecting from Ponyo. We'll see. Joey's really stoked about Ponyo.
I like Ponyo. Yeah.
How can you not be?
I don't know. But anyways, till next time.
Bye, everybody.